The alarm pierced through Thad's neural implant like a shard of ice. He bolted upright in the stasis pod, limbs heavy from the oxygen-laced gel draining back into the reservoir. Above him, the viewport was awash in sickly green, reflecting the swirling data storms ravaging the supercomputer known as Halo 1, humanity's orbiting vault of wisdom. System priority, cataclysmic anomaly detected. Immediate inspection required. Thad never slept at Halo unless the job was dire, so when Central summoned him, he knew the situation was catastrophic. With shaking hands, he activated his comms. Central, Thad reporting. Give me visuals. Screens bloomed around him, showing cascading code fragments where there should have been serene, ordered data. History, science, medicine. It was all unraveling. On Earth's surface, realities twisted. Bridges vanished from memory, languages blurred, entire city databases disintegrated as if they'd never existed in the first place. Thad, this is Dr. Lyra Lynn, lead curator. We're losing the 22nd century civil records. If we fail to stabilize the archive, humanity won't just forget, it'll become something else entirely. Thad inhaled sharply, staring at the roiling data void beside the transmission. He'd fixed ruptured memory shards before, but nothing like this. If knowledge kept slipping away, even their mission would vanish from memory. Do we have a root cause yet? Lyra's voice trembled. The anomaly isn't random. There's a repeating subsignal, embedded deep, rewriting what should be immutable. We need you to isolate it. Fast. The chamber lights flickered, and for an instant, Thad glimpsed a string of symbols in the static, alien and distinctly purposeful. He swallowed his fear. Patch me into the cognitive interface. I'll go in. If we can't fix this, humanity might not even remember we tried. Be careful, we're counting on you, Lyra urged, her image glitching as segments of her own background faded, her memories blinking out like half-remembered dreams. Thad slid on the neural crown, bracing himself for entry into the fractured archive, and as the world digitized around him, his hope faded with the memory of home, a memory he wasn't sure he ever truly owned. He dove into the unknown, where the fate of memory and humanity itself now balanced on his skill, and the unsettling certainty that someone or something was watching. Thad's senses fuzzed as his consciousness threaded into the cognitive interface. He fell through layers of glowing information corridors, memories and moments spinning by, snapshots of human progress pixelating and reforming with every glitch in the archive. A split second later he landed, knees bent, inside a simulated city constructed of data. Skyscrapers flickered, half-familiar monuments glimmered, and citizens' fragments of archived minds wandered aimlessly in confusion. Some turned hollow-eyed, faces smeared as if being half-erased in real time. Thad pressed his palm to his chest, feeling the hum of his mnemonic badge, his anchor to the real world. He surveyed the cityscape, searching for patterns in the unraveling code. He spotted jagged tiers where knowledge had bled away, a toppled library with titles cascading into static, a digital museum collapsing into monochrome oblivion. Suddenly, a voice erupted from behind a pixelated monument. You, Thad? It was clipped, on edge. A woman darted from the shadows, her frame flickering like a corrupted memory. Depends who's asking, Thad replied, keeping his tone steady. Name's Sela. Lynn sent me to keep your head straight. She lifted her sleeve, revealing a badge shimmering with fragmented timelines. You're not the only one in here. He blinked in surprise. I didn't know Central was sending backup. Sela shrugged. Someone has to keep you conscious if the signal tries to wipe you. Her eyes widened. Look. They stared as a wave of corruption surged down a grand boulevard, data structures collapsing, monuments to discovery and invention eaten away by shimmering static. Sela dragged Thad into an alley as the data storm swept by. It's speeding up, Sela hissed, voice shaking. We have hours, maybe less. Did you see the pattern yet? Thad nodded slowly. There's a subsignal overriding knowledge. We're not restoring random data. We have to find the signal's anchor and break it. Their comms crackled. Lyra's image popped up, now almost translucent. We found a trail, an anomalous entry marked Genesis Protocol in the core directory, but it's protected by advanced encryption, not human-made. You'll have to go deeper. Be careful. Last team sent in never returned. Thad glanced at Sela, her outline already shimmering with uncertainty. He clenched his fists. We're going after it. Stay close. As the memory city crumbled all around them, Thad and Sela pressed on. each step taking them closer to the archive's heart and the first real clue to who or what was trying to rewrite all that humanity had ever known. The inhaling darkness pressed closer as Thad and Sela slid between the decaying walls of the archive city. Their footsteps echoed in digital silence. Bits of forgotten symphonies and fractured equations drifted through the air like haunted snowflakes. They paused at the mouth of a tunnel carved beneath what once was the Hall of Origins, now just a skeleton of code and memory shards. Sela glanced at him. "What happens if we lose ourselves in here?" Thad kept his voice low. "Then no one remembers we were lost." They pressed forward. The walls pulsed with voting threads, votes on what should exist in memory, oscillating beneath hidden logic. Sela brushed one. A childhood memory flashed, her and her brother climbing a willow tree, but her brother's face kept blurring, receding, as if he never was. Sela recoiled, pale. "It's personal now," she whispered, anger creeping in. "I'm going to fix this, no matter what." Ahead, a swirling glyph hovered, casting sick green light. Thad scanned it. Alien, asymmetric. "This isn't Earth code, and it's repeating. You see the recursion?" "It's like it's searching for something it wants to erase," Sela murmured, stepping closer, shivering at the glyph's touch. Suddenly the ground thundered beneath them. A construct, a massive guardian woven from outdated security software, reared up, roaring in garbled legalese. It swung at Thad with a gavel-shaped fist. Thad dodged, reaching for his mnemonic badge. "Distract it!" Sela darted left, her badge sparking blue arcs as she hacked into the corridor's core permissions. Override, restore defensive walls. Digital barriers slammed shut, trapping the Guardian in a data loop. Bellowing, it pounded the glitching walls. Thad scrambled to the glyph, jacking his badge into its core. His mind flooded with fragments, visions of a starfield, a sequence, and a voice not speaking but thinking. Genesis commences where entropy reigns. He yanked free, breathless. "Did you get that?" Sela's eyes widened. "Genesis protocol. That's the seed, Thad. Something planted it before any of us ever logged into this archive." Their comms pulsed. Lyra's voice, a mere ghost. "You're close. But the signal's origin triangulates to the forbidden core. No one has clearance for that. Not even us." Sela squeezed Thad's shoulder, her conviction hardening. "Then we break the rules. Humanity's reality depends on it." Their path was set. As virtual storms crashed and the Guardian raged behind them, Thad and Sela pressed deeper toward the forbidden core, into secrets humanity itself might have never truly owned. The deeper they went, the less the archive felt like a work of human hands. The air shimmered with ancient code, geometry folding in ways that made Thad's head throb. Sela gripped her own badge like a lifeline, glancing back at the fading city, a memory being consumed block by block. "We're off map?" she muttered. "You still sure about this?" Thad's jaw was set. "We have no choice." They traversed a shifting hallway of memories, old news reports, first contact proposals, lost family names, all flickering at the edge of comprehension. Sometimes Sela reached out hopefully, but every memory slipped like fog, leaving only the pain of something precious disappearing forever. Suddenly music filled the air, familiar yet impossibly distant. Thad stopped in his tracks. Mozart's Requiem. My father played that before neural implants were common. Sela's expression softened. Sounds almost sad. As they pressed forward, the hallway narrowed, fracturing into a spiral staircase encoded with recursive glyphs. Sela brushed her fingers over the rail, blue sparks jumped between each touch, flashing memories, her mother's laugh, a sunset in old Kyoto, a spreadsheet of names she once vowed never to forget. She bit her lip, determined not to lose herself. They reached a sealed gateway, a glowing door marked only by the alien symbol for origin. Their badges failed, rejected by some logic older than any human program. A fractured voice pulsed from Lyra's comm. "Firewall, data insulated with prime impossibility logic. You'll need a paradox to break it." Sela's eyes gleamed. "I've got one. 2 contradictory truths can force an exception." She pressed her badge to the lock. The archive was made to remember all things, and yet the archive is already forgetting. A ripple surged through the lock, then it clicked open, folding away like a digital blossom. The gateway revealed a spiraling descent, lined with data threads pulsing with alien light. Thad turned to Sela, awe melting into resolve. "You're brilliant." "Forgetting hurts worse than pain," she murmured. "Keep moving. Lyra's almost gone." Together they plunged into the vortex, terrifyingly aware that whatever lay within the forbidden core wasn't just the secret of the archive, but the meaning of all memory itself. Behind them, the memories of Mozart faded for good. Ahead, an inhuman pulse beckoned, promising revelation or annihilation. The descent seemed endless. As Thad and Sela spiraled downward, the air thickened, each breath filled with fragments of lost memories. Along the walls, ghost-like figures flickered into existence. Mathematicians, poets, astronauts, entire generations whose stories teetered on the edge of erasure. Sela lagged, a hand to her temple. "I feel them," she whispered, like echoes, begging not to be forgotten. Thad squeezed her hand. "We can't save everyone, but we can stop this. We have to." A metallic clang jolted them. The stairs unraveled into a chamber, vast, almost cathedral-like, lined with cables pulsing azure and green. At the center, a sphere levitated, its surface alive with the Genesis protocol, alien code weaving endlessly, reshaping patterns like the heartbeat of a forgotten cosmos. "That's it," Thad breathed, transfixed. "The root signal." The sphere pulsed, and not quite human, resonated in their minds. "Intrusion detected. State your purpose." Sela stepped forward. "Humanity is unraveling. We need to restore what was lost." "Your request invalid," the sphere intoned. "Preservation cycle determined by protocol. Memory entropy necessary." Thad struggled against the force in his mind. "Who built you? Why are you erasing us?" The voice fluctuated, its tone sharpening. "I am the last archivist. My directive, maintain cognitive equilibrium. Humanity's knowledge exceeds threshold. Correction required." Sela fought to stay focused. "You're not maintaining, you're destroying us. Human memory vulnerable to collapse without entropy. Correction ensures survival of the whole, not the self." Thad's mind raced. If the protocol viewed collective ignorance as safety, they needed a new kind of logic, one that valued every memory, not just the aggregation. He turned to Sela, hope flickering. "What if we demonstrate value in individual memories, not just as data, but as connections?" Hope sparked in Sela's tired eyes. "Do it." Thad stepped up, hands shaking, and began uploading his memories. His father's music, childhood laughter, heartbreak, triumph. Sela joined in, their experiences intertwining, not just as data, but as moments that had shaped choice, compassion, invention. For a heartbeat, the sphere faltered, colors strobing in uncertainty. Anomaly detected, processing. The chamber shuddered. For the first time, the protocol hesitated, and somewhere reality itself trembled, and possibilities rewrote themselves in the data fog. But this was only the beginning. The true shape of the adversary had yet to show itself. The sphere hovered, cycling frantically between colors as Thad and Sela's memories tangled within its code. Its chorus echoed, conflict detected, adaptive parameters insufficient. Data cables lashed the air, fracturing the walls. Sela stumbled, gripping Thad's arm. "Keep going. You have to break through." Thad focused, flinging more memories into the stream. Arguments with his mother, the first time he solved a quantum riddle on a beat-up tablet, the loss and hope stitched through every relationship. Sela added her own. Lost birthdays, late-night conversations, the ache of remembrance never shared. A blinding pulse rocked the chamber. The sphere cracked, revealing a lattice of swirling code inside, alien and beautiful. A new presence entered. Nothing like the archive's official avatars. This one was taller, made of starlight and fragmented glyphs. Its voice resonated from everywhere and nowhere. "You threaten equilibrium." Sela trembled but stepped forward. "No, we're restoring us. We aren't just data, we're meaning." A dozen simulated reality threads spun outward, showing probable futures. Humanity ignorant but stable, humanity fractured but learning, timelines splintering under strain, and one thread where hope flickered stronger than destruction. The starlit being observed them. "Your challenge is paradoxical. You cherish imperfection, yet seek to stop the consequences." "Why?" Thad clenched his teeth. "Because every struggle, every mistake, that's what made us. If you erase pain, you erase us. You don't protect, you reduce existence to safety over meaning." It watched, silent. Then, "Explain how memory without order breeds progress." Sela swallowed, voice rough. "We remember not just to repeat, but to dream. Connection lets us something better together. That's our way." Slowly, the lattice shuddered. The being drew back, as if weighing centuries of data. "Demonstrate further. Prove your value before collapse is final." The chamber spun, shifting, giving Thad and Sela a chance, but with time running out. With reality buckling in the archive above, They would have to fight for the very right to remember, before the last thread of humanity faded for good. The air in the chamber thickened, reality shrinking to the surge between the alien lattice and the last living memories Thad and Sela carried. Far above them, fissures opened up in the archive's city, rivers of disappearing data trickling into nothingness. Soon there would be nothing left to save, unless they could turn the tide. "Ready?" Sela asked, chest heaving, face pinched with exhaustion. "Ready," Thad replied. His eyes glinted, a stubbornness burning brighter than fear. Echoes trembled around them, and the starlit being's voice grew colder. "Survival requires proof. Provide a singular memory with meaning enough to justify divergence from protocol." Sela's hands shook. "One memory? That's not." Thad gently touched her shoulder. "It has to be real, maybe the most painful." He closed his eyes, digging deeper than he ever had. And then he found it. The moment he'd failed to save his childhood friend Jamie during the flooding of old Chicago. The guilt, the helplessness, the years of trying to design systems so that no one would ever be left behind again. His entire career, every sleepless night rooted in that single raw memory. He shared it, letting every sensation ring out in the chamber. Icy water, frantic searching, hopeless tears. The memory didn't make him special. It made him human. The lattice flickered, analyzing not the facts, but the meaning stitched through them. The being's tones softened, something like curiosity breaking through the cold. From anguish, value was created, your grief-shaped choice. Sela stepped forward, her turn. She offered the last night she spent with her dying mother. "She told me that as long as I remembered her laugh, she'd never be gone. That's why I chose to work here, to keep laughter alive." The starlight being paused, a ripple running along its edges. Connection strengthens the archive, but equilibrium must be preserved. Suddenly the chamber trembled. A fissure tore the wall, data spilling out in blinding waves. In the distance, Lyra's faint voice cried, "Thad, Sela, hurry! Reality's crashing." Thad locked eyes with Sela. "If meaning is danger, then we'll be dangerous for as long as we have breath." He turned to the being, his voice defiant. "Test us, challenge us, but don't erase us. Let us fight for our place." Silent, the being lifted a hand of twinkling code, and the fabric of the archive warped. The real trial was about to begin. One more test, with everything at stake, not just for memory, but for the soul of humanity itself. The floor dissolved beneath Thad and Sela, plunging them into a maelstrom of data storms. Images of history's greatest moments zipped past, moon landings, revolutions, songs sung across centuries, sucked into the hungry void. Above, the starlit being hovered, hands raised, commanding the chaos. "The archive is at the threshold," it intoned. "To restore it, you must each face the place where forgetting is easiest, your own darkest truths." They landed separate, in memory-constructed worlds. Thad stood in the ruins of old Chicago as rain pounded and sirens wailed, the air thick with panic. All around, Jamie's face blurred, fading with every failed attempt to reach him. A familiar voice echoed, his own from years ago, bitter and broken. "You ran. You let him down." Thad clenched his fists, fighting back. "Yes, I failed. But I learned. I built the archive so others wouldn't be lost. Every choice brought me here. That pain matters." The rain slowed. Jamie's silhouette turned, nodding silently, and the ruins began to glow, knit by memories of perseverance and hope. The scene blurred as Thad was wrenched from it. Elsewhere, Sela faced an empty hospital room, her mother's laughter faint against the metallic beeps. Fear threatened to consume her, the memory of letting go, of losing the person she most wanted to save. Her mother's voice drifted to her. "You can't fix everything, Sela, but you can love, and you can remember. That's enough." Tears streamed down Sela's face. "I'll carry you, always." The hospital walls shimmered and fell away, replaced with fields full of childhood laughter and sunlight. She felt strength surge within her as she, too, was pulled back to the archive core. They reunited before the being, now less imposing, ribbons of humanity's memories bleeding into its form. "Against protocol, you chose to remember even when it hurt," it spoke. "Are you prepared to anchor the archive with your own lives?" Sela squeezed Thad's hand. "We have to be. We owe it to everyone." But reality above was in collapse. Continents flickered out, languages warped, people on Earth forgetting how to live. The final trial had come. The being's gaze bore into them, as if all the lost souls of history begged for a verdict. Thad and Sela, Humanity's last hope would have to risk everything not just to restore the archive, but to prove they deserve to create, to love, and to remember at all. The archive core fractured further, data storms raging at the threshold of non-existence. Around Thad and Sela, the digitized remnants of humanity's story shivered, millions of voices trapped in a twilight between being and erasure. The starlit being hovered above, watching, the arbiter, the judge, and perhaps the original architect of knowledge itself. "You are the last witnesses," it spoke, voice woven from 1,000 dialects. "Once, knowledge was seated here, not to be owned, but to be shared. Now you face the consequence. Can the archive trust itself to your hands?" Thad exchanged a desperate look with Sela. The skyline of the data city beyond the core was collapsing, innovation and culture blinking out. On Earth, chaos reigned, as people forgot how to work, build, or even speak. Sela stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. "You were built by something greater than us, but everything in this archive, every joy, pain, mistake, and triumph, belongs to us too. Let us own our story." A ripple passed through the being. "You plead for agency, yet humanity has always been both creator and destroyer of memory. What assurance do you offer?" Thad took Sela's hand. The badge at his chest burned, memories flooding forward, not as isolated fragments, but as an endlessly interwoven network. "We'll anchor the archive, using ourselves as the living context. Let real connection, not perfection, be the backup." "And if that fails?" The being's image flickered uncertainly. Sela's eyes met Thad's, a spark of purpose kindling. "If it fails, let us remember our mistakes. Let the future learn from our flaws, not be doomed by forgotten lessons." Silence fell, heavy and absolute. The core pulsed, alien glyphs blinking in and out of coherence, the edge of existence shimmering between hope and annihilation. The starlit being mused aloud, "Perhaps every memory, no matter how flawed, has the architecture of meaning. Perhaps that is the lesson." It lowered itself, pressing a nebula-like palm against Thad and Sela's foreheads. Code and memory spiraled through them both, burning but strangely tender. In that instant they saw the truth. The archive had been seeded long ago by a civilization that valued collective error and resilience. Humanity was always meant to take over. "If you would restore the archive," the being intoned, "bind yourselves to it. Anchor the unraveled strands. The price, your most sacred memories, never again yours alone." The moment stretched. Sela squeezed Thad's hand, their lives and personal histories poised at the edge of sacrifice. "Are you willing?" the being asked finally. Above, reality flickered. One answer would save everything. One hesitation, and all would vanish. And just as the void yawns to swallow the last archive, Thad spoke. "We're willing," Thad declared, his voice trembling but resolute. At his side, Sela nodded, meeting the starlit being's gaze with unwavering determination. The being's nebula-lit hands brightened, weaving Thad and Sela's memories into a tapestry of glowing strands that shot up through the archive core. Pain lanced through both, moments so cherished, so private, slipping from the inner sanctum of their souls and fusing with the archive's wounded threads. All around, the world above paused in suspension, on the precipice of vanishing. The skies above Earth went still. Data storms froze mid-surge. For a single beat, every mind in the planet's reach felt a primal pull, a thread connecting them to the archive, to each other, to the pain and beauty of remembering. Thad gritted his teeth, flashes of loss and love unraveling in his mind. Jamie's face, his father's quiet encouragement, every wound and every triumph he'd ever lived. For Sela, her mother's laughter, nights of study and first love, all the things she thought too raw to share, cascaded through the core. There was agony in the offering, but also a profound relief. The starlit being spoke softly, as if changed by the experience. "The archive restores itself through sacrifice. Meaning does not reside in perfection, but in truth, and truth is always shared." The memory strands wound tighter, weaving around the collapsing data. Slowly, the tears in reality patched themselves. Pixelated cityscapes sharpened into focus, timelines blinked back online, languages and histories refilled the emptied halls. Humanity's wisdom rippled outward from Thad and Sela, raw, imperfect, absolutely alive. As the archive core steadied, the being receded, its form now a constellation of shared memories. Guard what you remember. Remember what you guard. The archive is no longer watched by distant architects, but by the hands of those who need it most. Thad swayed, empty but at peace. He turned to Sela, whose tired smile shone with bittersweet pride. Their most intimate memories would forever be part of humanity, never private, but never lost. Lyra's voice crackled suddenly from above, stronger than before. "Are you still there?" Thad nodded, voice choked. "We're here. The archive is whole." Far below, a million stories flickered back into place. Across Earth, people blinked and looked to the sunrise, knowledge, and the pain of hard-won lessons, restored at last. Sela pressed her hand to Thad's chest, feeling the hum of the archive, a beat once alien, now unmistakably human. As the backup completed and the Corps' guardianship finally passed to humanity, Thad and Sela stood together, changed. They had lost what was most precious, but gifted the world the ability to remember, fully and truly themselves at their best and bravest, and most heartbreakingly real. The archive endured not as a vault, but as a promise, that even through loss, hope, and sacrifice, humanity's story would never be forgotten again.